Welcome to the Trump Breaking News Network, your daily source for up-to-the-minute Trump news. Join us today and every day. Here's today's news.
This is TBNN.
Putin says U.S. presidents are puppets. Men in dark suits rule D.C. In an interview that will never air in American mainstream news, Vladimir Putin called out the deep state and noted how all American presidents are puppets. By J. Cernopoulos. In an interview with French publication Le Figaro, Russian President Vladimir Putin called out the deep state bureaucracy that controls U.S. foreign policy, noting that U.S. presidents serve as little more than puppets for the ruling oligarchy. A certain person may be elected by the public on the basis of his merit and ideals, but rarely is this person able to formulate policy, Putin explained. He then noted that the security service bureaucracy in the U.S., which is typically known as the deep state, is very powerful and as such does not allow any meaningful change in policy direction. Presidents come and go, but the politics remain the same, Putin said. In effect, individuals, who may have their own genuine ideas about reforming U.S. policy, are elected to the White House only to satisfy the illusion of a free and fair democratic process taking place, truly a facade of reality. Putin noted that men in dark suits, who remain anonymous to the American voting public, continue to pursue the well-established interests of the U.S. ruling elite with each incoming administration. "You know, I've communicated with one U.S. president, and a second, and a third. Presidents come and go but the politics remain the same," the Russian president said. "Do you know why that is?" Putin asked, before exposing the actual workings of the American governmental system. "So a person is elected, he comes with ideas," Putin explained. "Then people with briefcases come visit him, well-dressed, in dark suits, kind of like mine. Except instead of a red tie it's black or navy. America's secret government, unaffected by elections, beyond the reach of the law." Putin clearly understands how the deep state charade works and his exposure of these operations, and the fact that people pull the actual strings of government, is a direct challenge to their covert operations. The Russian leader explained that when these men in black show up they essentially instruct the president on what he's going to do, which is why you often see such abruptly differing policy enacted from that which the candidate ran upon to get elected. "This happens from one administration to the next," he said. To see the overwhelming proof of this influence, we needn't look any further than Donald Trump. Trump ran on a platform calling Saudi Arabia out for supporting terror and for their role in 9/11. However, as soon as his handlers told him what to do, he sold out and gave them billions, bowing down to them in the process. But, that was only the start. Just this week, Trump referred to Qatar as terrorists and noted that they are funders of terrorism throughout the world. Only days later, on Wednesday, he granted the terrorist government of Qatar a $12 billion weapons deal. You really cannot make this stuff up. The entire interview is pretty remarkable. It's also truly disheartening to have to turn to Russia to get a more accurate picture of what is transpiring in the United States, as the U.S. corporate media operates as propagandists for the deep state agenda, acting as information gatekeepers. Watch the enlightening interview below. It is important to point out that in Russia, there are free speech zones, gays are persecuted, and speaking out against the state is often met with police brutality. Just ask the activist band Pussy Riot. Vladimir Putin is not a hero. That being said, however, on a larger scale, Putin is not attempting to build an empire at the expense of the Russian people, he is not destabilizing the Middle East and installing dictators, he's not funding ISIS, and he tends to resist moves by the globalists that are harmful to the well-being of the Russian people. This is the opposite of what America does. As we have reported earlier this year, Putin heavily resists this control asserted by the deep state over the rest of the world. He has proactively begun preparing to release Russia from the crushing grip of the international banking system completely, by moving to a nationalist model based and conducting transactions with allies in gold. After the massive push toward gold, however, Putin is now looking even more to the future, and the future is in cryptocurrency. As the Free Thought Project reported, Seeking to further protect Russia from the claws of the international money-changing cartel, Putin met with Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin. As the U.S. seeks to dominate the currency market to fund the expansion of the empire, Russia is proving they are not as beholden to the bankers by facilitating competition with their native currency, the ruble. As the U.S. seeks to hack, dismantle, and fearmonger over the incredible revolution that is the blockchain, Putin wants to implement it. The digital economy isn't a separate industry, it's essentially the foundation for creating brand new business models, Putin said. When a president sees the world for what it is and doesn't pretend that the behind-the-scenes movers and shakers are some conspiracy theory, progress is made.
That's the news. Join us here every day. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell. See you next time.
This is TBNN.